Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's deep dive session. My name is Laura. I'm really happy that you are joining us today. And before we start, I quickly want to run through with you through this setup. You see the chat function down there, which is for you guys, for everybody to interact with each other. By using this little drop-down menu, you can decide on whether you want to chat something to all the participants or only to the panelists. And very important is the other function. If you want to post a direct question to the panelists, please use this little Q&A tool that you see down there on the right. Your question will be placed in there, and if you like a question that is posted, you can upvote them, and then we will always use the ones that are ranked all the way to the top. And if you want to add something to a question, or if you want to add something to a given answer, we're always this discussion. In case you do this and you join us with video and audio, and also in general, this video or this stream is recorded and streamed, so just that you know upfront and be aware of that. And yeah, before we start, also big thanks to Köln Business and Volksbank Köln-Bonn, which is supporting us on this deep dive session today. But of course, I'm also not all by myself. Let's welcome another pirate, my colleague Vadim, who will co-host this session with me today. Hi there, Vadim.
Hello there, Laura. I'm very excited to be here. And I got to say, I'm really excited about today's topic. When we're talking remote event monetization, the question really it comes down to is to price or not to price, right? So does free equal worthless, and how do you survive in this unknown environment? I gotta say, thinking back to when we first dove into remote events, I remember how we had to first of all figure out what the situation regarding pricing was. So what are the competitors doing? Are they charging at all? How much are they charging? And even what are they charging for?
Yeah, so true, so true. And for us as event organizers, of course, this is a highly relevant topic, and there are so many different opinions circulating right around it. And we're very happy. Our special guest today, Sarah Porter, she is very passionate about emerging technologies, and she is the founder and CEO of Inspired Minds. And yeah, basically went all in to set up this powerful event community. And of course, Sarah has her own opinion on when it comes to price or not to price remote events. Hi, Sarah, welcome. It's so wonderful that you are with us today. Hi there.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hey there.
Very good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I've just, as I said to you before, Laura, I'm really sorry. I've got a very loud snoring dog who is going to be interrupting me, but hopefully you can't hear him.
If that's the only thing that is interrupting, then we're all good.
Yeah.
Sarah, tell us a little bit. Who are you? What are you doing currently? What are you up to?
So I'm, as you said, the founder and CEO of Inspired Minds. We're a global community based on accelerating progress towards the United Nations SDGs using emerging technology. So we're now a community of 54,000 people in our ecosystem. That's a multidisciplinary ecosystem worldwide. We've built that ecosystem over the last 4 years by running large-scale summits. So we run the World Summit AI in Amsterdam. We run World AI Week also in Amsterdam and globally. Intelligent Health, which is a series of global events on AI and medicine. And we have a new product that's just come out called Mothership. So that's us.
I saw that.
Very interesting, Sarah. So what we're trying to establish here is something new in our deep dives. It is for participants in order to get to know you a little better. I want to play a quick round of one or the other. So what it's going to happen is I'm going to pose a few questions and you need to answer what you prefer, okay?
Okay.
And also please, it may be hard sometimes, but just try to focus on one or the other. No explanations are needed. So
okay,
no one's going to judge you or anything.
Keep it clean.
The first one's a doozy already. It's coffee or tea?
Tea. I'm English.
Well, who would have thought? And then during the pandemic, waiting or acting?
Acting.
Acting. Sure thought so. Then binge watch a Netflix series or read a book?
Read a book.
A double-decker bus or cab or taxi, as you would say?
Oh God, taxi. Yeah, not the
regular phone or video call?
Phone, normal phone.
And a last question, might be the most important one, to price or not to price?
With a caveat, I would say don't price until it's worth something of value.
That is a good one.
Steve.
That's really deep.
I had to think a long time about that one. I came up with about 15 different answers. So.
We're in the deep dive here.
Yeah.
Sarah, before we deep dive into or hop into this monetization topic, at Inspired Minds, can you give us like a little overview of how did COVID affect you guys over there and what was going on in your company?
Like a bullet, basically. I mean, so as I think with a lot of event organizers, so to give some context, we ran a launch event, which we launched in 3 months, Intelligent Health, which was running at Excel in London on I think it was the 5th of February. Sorry, it seems like 3 years ago now. We've all been in lockdown so long, time's lost its concept. But yeah, and we ran that event. That happened as a physical event. It was with clinicians. There was some talk at that stage of COVID is emerging. There's this thing that's happening, but it didn't affect us in any way. And we ran that event. 2 weeks later, we were getting ready to fly out to Montreal to run World Summit AI Americas. And that event had taken a year, as most events have taken a year to prepare for. It's a large-scale summit. It attracts around 5,500 attendees globally. The majority of them travel from up to 70 countries. And 2 weeks to 10 days before, I spoke to some of my advisors and just said, you know what, I'm getting a bit concerned. What should we do here? And they were like, don't worry about it. You know, it's going to be fine. You know, it's not going to affect you. 3 days later, everybody started closing down the airports, the international airports and everything else. So that model of that event is a summit. So that is a sponsor and delegate led model. And we, within 10 days, then pivoted the entire event online. Yeah. So it was basically a
bullet.
A bullet, yeah. So, and I can talk you through how we did that if that's of interest. But we pivoted it all online. We ran it online, and then a series of things have happened since then.
Yeah, I mean, so many event organizers, old and new, are looking at ways right now in this current climate. But yeah, that leads us to our topic actually, because pricing is a big thing in this framework. And as Vadim stated in the beginning, when we started to dive into this topic at Pirate, we were in the first place, we were kind of shocked that there is basically a not existing price attitude when it comes to remote events. And one of our founders, Manuel, he sparked a discussion on LinkedIn already a while ago about whether remote event conferences or remote conferences should be free or not. And he stated it's not always a good thing or a good strategy, because it can lower the commitment, a higher no-show can appear, dropout rates can be higher, and it's pretty hard to switch back later on. And you replied pretty short and simple. I really like that. If it's free, you are the product. Can you tell us a little bit what were your thoughts behind this statement?
Yeah, so from our point of view, so I think there are different starting points with this. So from our point of view, as a community, we have products that are of value. So we've already been running these products for 4 or 5 years. We have an active ecosystem, and they expect a level of value from the products that we produce for them. So I believe that if you start to offer free content, then what is your reason for doing that? And your reason for doing that can only be one thing in my mind. It's either a very specific objective. So an example of that would be our Intelligent Health COVID series. So we ran a COVID series straight after we came back from Montreal, and we managed to gather our thoughts and get ourselves together and get our mindset in the right place and all the rest of it. We decided, okay, we need to do something for our ecosystem. So the purpose of what we did then was to run COVID specific webinar sessions, which were free to attend for our clinicians. And that was purely something done by us, one, to test out how can we transition to digital, how good are we at doing this, and also to give something back to our community. So in that situation, I think the reason it was free was very clear, and it was a very clear defined purpose. However, if you are offering content for free, what is the purpose of that? And the only purpose of that I can see is that you are accumulating data, and therefore the product is the person that is registering to attend. So that's what I meant by that statement.
Yeah, that very much feels like charging your event is the way to go, right? I think we should ask our participants regarding the pricing. So we drew up a quick poll here. What are you willing to pay for a valuable remote event conference? We got a few options here: free to 100, 100 to 500 euros. We thought we went with 500 euros. I hope that's okay with everyone here. And 500 plus.
You can unfortunately not vote. You can just watch.
Yeah.
Can I vote?
But we can see what everybody's saying.
I would have definitely gone with the 500 plus, to be honest.
Can we get the results?
And the results are in.
Oh,
okay.
That's low.
That's many.
Yeah.
That's an interesting insight.
Yeah.
What would you say, Sarah, for a remote conference from the event producer side? Would you agree, or would you say,
interesting?
Yeah, not so much?
Yeah. So we're going through this at the moment. So we're a big believer in don't think the strategy, do the strategy. So the way that we've been approaching testing our pricing models for online is to be starting with a lower price point and testing the traction and seeing if customers are willing to pay for it, right? And customers will decide the price of your product and what the pricing should be because of whether or not they're prepared to pay for it and the value that they perceive it to be. So value-based pricing is purely based on how much your customers are prepared to spend on your product. So we went out to the market. If you look at our traditional price points for our summits to attend, our USP is the quality of our community and the quality of our content. So we went out initially with a price point that was probably 20% of what we would usually charge for a physical summit and tested that. So an average ticket price for World Summit AI or for Intelligent Health, and I'm talking average throughout the pricing cycle with all the different price points, the average price is around 500 euros. The top level price is 2,800 euros. The bottom entry level price is 50 euros for our clinicians and around 200 euros entry level price for our main tech summits. So we started as a pricing point for our online summit. So we ran one online summit, which was IH inspired, which was a 2-day fully online summit model. And that was a test really for us. And we started the price point at 22 euros a pass, and we flexed that all the way up to 80 euros a pass and tested it. So I think there is without a doubt a difference in the level of pricing that you can start at. reason people are prepared to pay, I think, more to come to a physical summit is because of everything that we know about the value of events, and the value of events and the value of coming together as people, and the value of networking and the buzz and everything they get from that is very, very different from what we're able to offer at the moment in terms of online, online summits. I mean, sorry, I should also add to that we have pretty much banned now the phrase online event within Inspired Minds. So we've taken that out altogether, and we're not using that whatsoever, because they're not like for like. A physical summit and what we do for our physical summits and the value of that is very, very different now than the digital products that we're producing.
All right. So yeah, that's what we're always also saying, that you should not try to convert one by the other, but like build up a new product, right? But I want to, as you just said, it's interesting that people, that our participants were so much into the first answer. And I want to come back to this discussion on LinkedIn like one more time, because there was one statement that was, I don't remember who said it, but it was that offline offers, as you just said, a much wider experience, and this is what we're willing to pay for.
Yeah.
And so now when looking at remote events, what are we actually paying for? Well, I just think about if we expect to consume online events for free, and it does imply like really valuable content, does that mean that our valuable content is actually worthless?
Mm-hmm. So I think it's worth moving this conversation to another point first, and that point, if you don't mind, because it's a kind of preemptive to this, yeah. And I think that is, if you are, and a lot of this all depends on where you are starting this year. So everybody's in a different situation, right? If you're an established event organizer who's traditionally run summits, and now you're trying to flex your product and pivot online, you will have a whole different raft of reasons why you need to price, why you don't need to price, what your customers' expectations are. Do they have an expectation of your brand? Are they already a trusted customer of yours or not? Are you a trusted supplier of theirs? So all of these different things that you have to take into the equation. But I think putting all that to one side, if you can't really compare a physical summit to what we are now able to offer online. And I think as a starting point, one of the things, I think I spoke to you yesterday or Laura or the day before when I said we're having a huge bloody argument right now in Inspire Minds with the entire team, because what the process that we're going through right now is physically deconstructing our events completely, right down to so what are the individual aims and purposes of our ecosystem members? So what do they want from this? What do they want from us? What is their why? What is their reason for actually being a part of our ecosystem? What are we doing to give them anything as being a part of their ecosystem? And what do they expect from us? And once you know that, and you have built and deconstructed your product, and you've said, okay, this is what my ecosystem wants. This is what my customer wants. This is what I can do now to build a digital first product that allows us to meet those requirements. Then you can start thinking about pricing, right? Because then all of a sudden you can say, okay, I've got the tools to be able to do lead gen, one-to-one meetings, networking. We've just started to get some of the results back from a survey that we've just run. And some of the responses from some of our ecosystem is nothing like the product that we would have produced online as an online event. You know, some of them are saying all I want actually is peer-to-peer discussions with 3 or 4 like-minded people. Some are saying I want to consume content over the next 60 days as and when I want to do it. So once you deconstruct your products, I think then you can start to build your digital version of that product and how it meets the needs of your ecosystem in a reciprocal way.
If we break it down like that, maybe that would also be a good poll for our participants. Like, what is the most valuable part for you within a remote product? What element are you kind of willing to pay for most? Is it content, like inspirational keynotes? Is it, as Sarah just said, the peer-to-peer networking one-on-one? Or is it, for example, entertainment, live streams? I don't know, there are so many things you can add, but just use the 3 as an example. I think that gives us like a very nice overview. We have a lot of event organizers within our group of participants as well. And I think it's a really nice perspective.
I'm eager to know as well, definitely.
I think you can.
What would you value the most, Sarah? Content? I think
It's really hard to say. I mean, I'd say that, yeah, probably one of our USPs, obviously at Inspire Minds, and what we're known for is the quality of our content. But I saw a really interesting phrase, and I can't remember who it was from the other day, that said, it's the content that brings people into your ecosystem, and it's the community that keeps them there.
Good one.
Yeah. So it's all very well and good for us to offer this great content, but if people can't consume it in the right way now, given the current climate that we're facing, and if they can't then network with people that make that content worthwhile, and that I think is around the value of interaction with each other, then are they going to keep coming back? And that's what we mean by a reciprocal ecosystem, which I think is really important. Everybody within your ecosystem has to have a reason to come. They have to have something to give, and they also have to have something that they receive as a result of being a part of what you're building.
But then the answers of our participants is quite reflecting it quite good. It's a balance of the content and the networking. Yeah.
What about the entertainment?
Where to go?
Yeah, where's the virtual bars?
It's right here. It's right here. So from the event organizer perspective, we can say, but you mentioned like you try to adjust the prices, right? Like from a little higher up downwards to like 80 pounds, you said. What would you say, like ticketing apparently then does not pay for your whole remote event, right? And as a small yet relatively global business, have you had to seek additional funding, or how else did you finance your event?
Okay, that's a really interesting question. So I think firstly, I think ticketing can pay for your online event. You know, one of the things about online is the barriers to entry, particularly for people that are looking at starting up something now and offering content. The barriers to entry are quite low in terms of the cost of being able to do that. So if you get the great content and you can run it on any platform, there's a lot of free platforms that are out there, and there are a lot of expensive platforms that are out there. But there's no reason why you need a big cash fund to be able to run something online. In terms of us personally as a business, we're an established business. As I said, we've been running for 4 years. We're not a funded business. We're funded by sponsors and by our ecosystem. So by ticket sales and sponsorship sales, and some initial investment I put in 4 years ago, and a couple of angel investors. So in terms of our business model, we forward book revenues on an annual cycle, which a lot of probably event organizers will be familiar with. So we, for example, with things like World Summit AI, World AI Week, and Intelligent Health, our sponsorship revenues, which equates for about 40% of our revenues, and that's about 4 million per annum, are rebooked on an annual cycle in advance. So that's how we cash flow our business traditionally. So if you think about Montreal, we got 2 weeks out of Montreal. Most of that cash in terms of the revenues for that business had already been committed, but most of the costs hadn't, because with events, the costs go out as and when you run it. So we still have that banked revenue because we've deferred it forward, and most of our customers are happy to do that because they know us as a trusted partner. So we haven't had to find any additional funding. That doesn't mean to say, as I think a lot of businesses are right now, that we haven't reverted back to a bootstrapping survival mode, smaller team.
Who hasn't?
All of those sorts of things, you know, like the posh stuff is gone, and we are back to, which we kind of like as a business. I mean, we're used to moving relatively quickly and doing things quite fast and being able to do it in a bootstrap fashion. So that's the model we've reverted back to this year. We've also made the commitment as a business that we are not, last year, you know, we were going all hell blazing, making profits and all the rest of it, and investing that in community-led projects, which is our ethos and our aim of what we're doing. This year we've said, okay, this is not about profit. This is about survival, and it's about doing what we can to support our customers. So we're not in this year to make money. Our strategy for this year is to survive, to keep my children with a roof over their heads, and keep my team with a roof over their heads, and keep our customers doing as much business as possible. And we are now generating new revenues, and which is quite interesting. So a completely new revenue stream from new customers from our online digital products.
What new revenue stream?
So since so it's probably about mid-March now, we've started running webinars. So we ran those webinars for IH, as I said, Intelligent Health, initially completely for free for the clinicians, and they're not, you know, they're just something that we've done as a community. We ran there are a lot of opportunities that are coming out of this market right now. So yes, what we're going through is shocking, it's shockingly bad, and I can't take away from that how it's affecting so many people in a negative way. But if you want to look at it in a different way, there are opportunities that will come out of this market, and I believe that those opportunities are, for example, some of the larger corporate event organizers have deferred their events. So the initial reaction from everybody was, holy shit, there's this pandemic, my event's in the next 6 weeks, I don't know if I'm going to be able to run it or not, what am I going to do? And everybody shunted all of their events forward into Q3, and I was like, oh my god. Our biggest summits are in Q3, so suddenly we're surrounded by, I think there's something ridiculous like 10 tech events happening within the space of 3 weeks. It's mental. So what we did is decide we're not going to move any of our dates on any of our products. We don't believe in doing that. We haven't deferred anything, we haven't shifted dates on anything, because I just don't know what the future is going to do right now. Is anything going to be any different in 3 to 6 months' time? Who knows? So we started running webinars which were on topics with some of our great speakers that we knew we could get a captive audience from, and we've run in fact, our head of sales on this, and she'll probably know, but I think it's around 30 of those now since March. So we've been doing them consistently pretty much every week. Our content team have been creating them, and we've generated sponsors revenues from those, low-level sponsors revenues from people that we haven't traditionally actually attracted as a revenue stream, and that has kept us in a cash flow positive state as well.
All right. Yeah, so additional products. But if you would look at the market right now, and if you would launch a new product right now, would you think it is a good time? You just said there are so many opportunities, but yeah, how can we actually do it to create a digital event that is cash flow positive?
Yeah, I think there's 2 different points there. So I think, is it a good time to launch now? Yes. I think it is. I think there are opportunities. I think if you, for example, we ran Intelligent Health Inspired, which was the 2-day digital event that I mentioned before, that ran but a major healthcare event decided to move because they weren't going to run on their original dates. And we decided to run on their dates, a new product on a digital version. That was traditionally a physical product. They've moved it forward onto different dates. So for us, that was an opportunity, because we were like, okay, well, hold on a second. That's one of the best known datelines in the events cycle. That's, those attendees, what are they doing for those attendees now? But for whatever reason, as a larger corporate organization, they weren't necessarily able in that time, or whatever their reasons were, to respond to what was happening. And we were. So we launched something, we launched it in the space of 6 weeks, it ran online, it generated new revenues, it got us a new data set from that target audience. So there are opportunities like that now. I think for people, if you're prepared to look at the event landscape and say, I don't have any existing cost lags that are going to slow me down from doing this, and I can create something relatively quickly that serves the purpose of meeting the community needs on those dates, then that's a good opportunity, I think. Sorry, I can't remember what the second point was now.
No, we're all good. I think we can rather focus on a question from one of our participants, coming back to the sponsorship, and that's pretty good, because I had a similar thing on my mind. Do you recognize a lower acceptance to sponsor digital events, and do sponsors are willing to pay more or less? And I want to add something on this. It's like I was thinking about it as well. Like, how do we keep original sponsors? Why should they invest in remote events and not, for example, into a media company or something?
So I think I can only talk from our perspective and what we've found so far. So the sponsors that have sponsored the webinar sessions with us, some of those have been existing customers and some have been new. We didn't charge, if you look at the cost base for a traditional physical event, say let's take World Summit AI, for example. World Summit AI is a £3 million revenue wise product, and its cost base to execute it and deliver it is around 2 million. So as a physical product, that's how much it costs to run that event. Whereas a webinar or even just an online digital product, your cost base is completely and utterly different. So for us, we can price differently. We can price completely differently. And I think sponsors our existing sponsors that are, that usually do our physical events, they still need to do business, right? Everything that we do is around what problems can we solve for our ecosystem? What problems can we solve for our customers? And people have a shitload of problems right now,
They do, yeah, right.
Yeah, they really do, right? And we're all kind of in it together. So I think from our point of view, if we go to our customers and we say, okay, what do you need? And they were like, okay, we seriously need to generate some leads for our sales force in some sort of way so they can keep doing business. That's what we provided with those webinars. But the cost point, part of this is, I think, if you're building something with your ecosystem and you're building it together and people support what they create. So we go to our ecosystem, we say, we want to do this, but we're not really sure if we're going to get it right. So we're not going to charge you a ton of money or even anything for it, or whatever we decide to do is that price point. And then you have to have that type of relationship when we're all in this unknown world where you're prepared to make mistakes together. And the expectation from your customers is, okay, I haven't done this before. I don't know if it's going to work. So therefore, are you prepared to do this with me in a way that's more cost effective? That's why I think if this is not a premium pricing market right now, this is a value-based market.
Definitely a large amount of skepticism surrounding this market, right?
Yeah.
Also, we got another question, which leads me actually to another one of mine. So it's also pretty much trending, and as 4 likes already. How many % of people joined the virtual events in comparison to the physical ones? Do you have numbers?
Sorry, I got a bleep just at the start of your question. What was that?
It's okay. How many % of people joined the virtual events in comparison to the physical ones? Do you have like any data?
Are they talking about crossover of audience that traditionally tend to our physical? What percentage went digital, or what is the volume?
Exactly. Like, what would you say? Like, was there a percentage drop, or is it pretty much the same, or what would you say?
So we've only run the 1-2 day digital product, which was the IH inspired one that I mentioned. And that was specifically to go into a date gap of an event that was cancelled. So in that, we found that we had new customers as a result of that. Volume wise, what we found was, and it was really interesting, is the international profile of attendees was higher. And that's because of accessibility, right? And that's a big opportunity with digital, as we know. The price, because the price point was lower, the conversion rate was lower. So the conversion rate of attendees was lower. And volume wise, it was, gosh, let's have a think.
Difficult one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out the stats for this one. So it was probably about 50 to 60% of our attendees.
Oh. Did we lose? No.
Yeah, compared to what we usually do. So.
I think you might have to repeat the last bit because I think we lost you a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Where did you get to?
Like 5 seconds beforehand, just like the last tiny bit.
So we probably got about 40 to 50% online. So in terms of the volume to what we get for traditional summits, that version of that summit. But this was a much shorter program, much less features, much lower price point, and the conversion rate dropped. So the conversion rate dropped quite substantially to what we would see as a physical event.
I think that also comes down to the skepticism surrounding this whole market a little bit, right?
Yes, yeah.
Definitely. So you also dropped, like, not totally, but data is somewhat important here, I think, when it comes down to opportunities in digital events, right? Mm-hmm. And you often come across the statement, data is the new currency. And of course, for us as event organizers, it's also important. And it was important even before we switched to remote events, right? Yeah. And then you also have this situation where participants are super sensitive regarding this topic. On the other hand, the remote event landscape is like perfectly shaped to collect large amounts of data. Yes. And what do you think? How can we properly use this data to improve our events? And also, can and should we put price tags on data? What would you say?
So if you're talking, so to answer the last bit first, I don't believe personally, and it's not our objective as Inspired Minds to ever sell our data or repurpose our data or sell those to a third party, because it's the value of our ecosystem that's super important to us as a business. and the quality of the people that we have that. And it's taken us 4 years to build that up, about 54,000 people. So there's two different things here. I think if you get to a point where if you're an event startup company or a digital product startup company, and you're looking to exit, obviously my background was M&A, and you're looking to exit in X amount of time or whatever, the value that will be put on your product is a value of a multiple of the profit that you're making, and also the data sets that you own as a business. So therefore that is your crown jewels, if you like, and you should protect it with your life.
That's a statement. That's a statement right there.
But also, you know, from my point of view, I don't know, maybe founders will understand this. I feel very protective over our ecosystem. Those people have chosen to join the Inspired Minds ecosystem. They've chosen to join us, and they trust us, therefore, with their data. And GDPR obviously helps us to do that, but they trust us with their data. So I think you have a duty of care over your attendees to not repurpose it, sell it, or do anything else with it.
Definitely. So, I wasn't saying like go all out Mark Zuckerberg on everybody. I was like just like is there anything like which is also, you know, you can stand behind that, but also like make good use of it, like an altruistic kind of way.
I think one thing that this climate does is it going back to that point where you deconstruct your product and you work out the why and the individual reasons why people are within that ecosystem and what their purpose are and what they're looking for as a result of the services that you can provide them. And that reciprocal ecosystem, you need to understand how everybody interconnects and what the connective tissue is between everybody. And I think if you don't understand that, then it's going to be very, very difficult for you to run something successfully digitally. If anything, right now, I think going digital will force us to do that even more so. And then find the right tools to be able to do that connective tissue part. There is no one tool at the moment that allows us to do everything that our ecosystem needs. So we have to pull together all the different platforms to be able to do that.
Yeah. And as you said, making use of the data is the one thing. Keeping it safe or protecting is our responsibility as event organizer on the other side. But let's hop back to the monetization. I want to shift the focus a little bit and go back to one more question from one of our participants. When that brings us a little bit back to the sponsors, like what are new benefits that we can offer to sponsors or participant compared to physical events when we when we're going remote? Is there like a best practice you want to share where you would say this is something that was really valuable for sponsors when they join on a remote event?
We're still working that out, to be honest with you. I mean, it's, you know, there's something that we're working on still as a business, but I would say it is the visibility around the transparency around the people that we can meet online. So something that we're doing at the moment is we've built this kind of matrix of, okay, these are our key sponsors, and what specifically are each of them looking for. So this company might be looking for 30 leads or 30 introductions from these companies, and if we achieve that, then we are the dog's bollocks, so to speak. So, you know, it's how it's that matrix of how in the absolute intricate detail do we deliver for each of those sponsors. And I think we can do that more with digital than we can potentially with physical events. The other thing that's a big advantage is if you think about a sponsor's cost base for attending a physical event, the money that comes to us as an organizer is the tip of the pyramid of what they have to spend, unless you're doing a purpose built or whatever it is, right? So if you're one of the larger scale sponsors then that are making a big splash and they have an 80 square meter stand or whatever it is, or they're sending all their team globally and all the rest of it, then they're spending 100 grand with us, then their cost overall as a business is probably 300k or whatever it is on top of that, if not more. There's a really great opportunity now with digital because of the cost for sponsors to go digitally. The cost to them is significantly less. So arguably, if we're able to deliver more of what they need, is there an opportunity for us to actually increase our pricing to be able to deliver something for them? So I think that's one way of looking at it.
That's a good way. And when we look at the participants, we had this discussion already where we were thinking about how can we set up the price structure. There's like there is a discussion going on should we split it into free, basic, premium, should, for example, watching something be for free, but interacting is like an upgrade that you have to pay for.
Yes.
And we, in our other deep dive when we were talking about communities, there was also this one thing that you don't stick to a location, right? You can enlarge your time frame and offer different elements over a longer period. So do we need to think in a rather bigger or wider perspective and think towards event subscriptions for offering this valuable content, as you just said? Is that maybe something how we can, like, long-term generate money with our remote events?
So I think that, so from our point of view, if you're scaling a community right now, so if you're basically starting out and you have no data, then probably you're going to be looking more at setting artificially low pricing to gain market share relatively quickly, because the thing that you need to get going is data, right? So you're going to be building your community by pricing potentially lower. However, if you already have a high competitive advantage or a strong competitive advantage and established community, then arguably you can your pricing can match that, if you like. One of the models that we have at the moment, and we've just launched, this is the mothership thing that we launched yesterday, is a subscription model. So yeah, so and it's, you know, we literally launched it yesterday, so it's, I can't tell you how that's going to go, but the concept with that is that digital products need to be consumable, and they need to be consumable according to the new world that people are facing right now, which means they need to be able to consume products in their time sometimes, or they don't necessarily want to sit through a large amount of content, or they want to dip in and do something that's very specific to them, or whatever else it may be. So we have launched a subscription model which allows people to access a platform. They can then have a choice of attending specific bite-sized bits of content and pay for that. There's an element to it which is freemium, so it's that model of, you know, we're giving you this for free, and then after a while then you'll actually subscribe, and that will become a paid for model. And there's an annual part of that, which is if you're an annual subscribed super member, a part of your payment will go to the Inspired Foundation, which is educating girls globally on STEM, and a part of it will go to giving you unlimited access to all of our content, all of our summits, our hybrid events, whatever else it is that we end up doing. So and that's a completely new model for us, and something that's really interesting, I think.
Super interesting. Maybe that's like the new big thing.
I think so, yeah.
I
bloody hope so.
Crazy times we're living in, huh?
Sorry?
What?
Crazy times we're living in.
It is, yeah, it is.
Right.
It's really interesting times. I mean, we kind of quite like it now, I guess, as, you know, as a business. It's I think if you're in that kind of mindset as a business, then it's good fun to be creating stuff.
The first few months were definitely like a shock, as you said, a bullet, but now you kind of, like, the humans know how to adjust, right? Kind of.
Yeah, it's innovate times.
So what would you say when we're looking at the development of remote events and the monetization over the last couple of months? Like, there's been a process, right? Would you say there will be a permanent damage in the future from that, what has been going on? Or would you say we've even benefit from what went down in the long run?
It's funny, we're forward looking now on our physical events for 2021. And so in terms of, you know, will there be long-term damage? Will physical events still exist? Yes, they will, absolutely.
Sure.
It's just a matter of time before, because physical events deliver something that I believe you can't replicate online. The long-term damage, I guess, to the industry is, well, one, this is one of the biggest economic crises we've seen since, you know, year dot of our time, which means that, unfortunately, I think there will be fallout in the industry of people that maybe are not serving their market as well as they could. So I think this will be damaging, I think, for products which are maybe tier 1, tier 2 products in their market. Sorry, tier 2, tier 3 products in their market. You would expect customers to start to just purely pick and choose ones that are trusted brands or ones that deliver a high value for them. as you see in any economic recession, right? So I think there will be a fallout of products that don't deliver for their customers as a result of this, and that could be the long-term economic damage. I think people will be cautious. It doesn't matter what we do as organisers, if the lockdowns are lifted or whatever else happens, people by human nature will be cautious now about what they choose to do. And the way that they choose to do that. And I don't necessarily think the days of large scale, and I'm talking, we're not in that band, but they're kind of 20,000, 30,000 plus tech events, and there are a few of them that are out there, they're going to have some real challenges. Because is this now about bringing together volume of people in one place? I think people are going to be overly cautious about that for quite some time, and quite right too, because from a sustainability point, should we be doing that anyway? And I think that's a different question. So I don't know if that answers your question. Yes, I do. I think there's going to be some long-term economic damage, but I don't necessarily think it's going to affect us, hopefully, but I think customers are going to demand much more, and quite rightly.
That's a good positive outlook.
Yeah, a more general question from Coral was, what has been the biggest difficulty when running your event online, Sarah? Just like maybe short and simple, one statement. What was the most difficult part?
I can only base it on probably the one that we did, the 6-week one that we did really quickly, and it was an absolute nightmare, running this thing initially, because our teams are people that are fantastic at bringing together festivals, right? So that's what they're good at doing. So that's as a team, that's what we're great at. So the challenge for us was, okay, firstly, very quickly, it was how do we recreate what we ordinarily have as a product and try and put it online? And I know now that was the wrong thing to do, because we spent a long time searching for the perfect platform that could replicate all the things that we thought an event should do. So it was like, our head of sales was like, but where are the booths? And where are this? And where's the hangout area and all this sort of stuff? And I think that's arguably where we went wrong, because I now believe that this is not about replicating events online. And to do that, therefore, platforms that replicate events online are not necessarily the right way to go. So I'd say that was the biggest probably challenge for us, was finding the right tools. And there's not anything out there that probably does that in one seamless integrated platform right now. I have some investment if anybody's a developer and they want to join me on that. Come on.
There's a high potential on that development right now, because there is so
huge
on this market, but we'll see. Same. Yeah. Didn't find the right one yet.
No, there isn't one. There isn't one right now. I really firmly believe that. There is nothing that serves the purpose of what we need to do, not as an event platform, as the right platform for what customers need right now.
Right. There is one highly ranked question that is, it's not rather a question, it's more a statement. Unfortunately, there's no name. That
not well.
Perspectives. Pirates want to earn money by producing events. That's true. And Sarah's company is doing a community exchange. It's just the tool that's the same. Do you want to say something on that?
Can you repeat it to me? Sorry.
That we're talking from different perspectives, that we want to, or we have the goal to make money with our event, and that you are doing community exchange. And that's just the same tool. I don't know what that question was about. Maybe the person who stated it wants to raise their hand and join us real quick. Otherwise, I would just let it go. I don't know.
Maybe it's because I raised the data point that we were trying to sell data, but we're not trying to do it in like a bad way. It's just so.
So I would say, I think if I understand the statement correctly, that's that we are purely a community exchange and we're not trying to make money. Is that what they're saying? Because that's not what we're doing. I mean, we're a commercial organisation. We have a foundation that's a part of our business, but and that part of the foundation is about investing in opportunities that accelerate progress towards the United Nations SDGs, as I said originally. But we're also a profit-making business. We're a limited company. We're a commercial organisation. And yeah, this is also about making money for us. This is not, though, however, for us right now, in terms of serving the purpose of our community, the year for us to be pushing our customers to make profit. That's not what we're about this year. This is about supporting our ecosystem and getting through this in a way that our customers still feel that they want to work with us in 21 and beyond. And community exchange is, absolutely vital. And it is a part of what we do, but we also do have a commercial operation.
Would you say the typical, China said that physical events or typical physical events, the revenue, when we're talking back to revenue, is 30% tickets, 70% sponsorships. Would you say, how would you say will that shift when we're looking at remote, the balance?
He thinks it's what, sorry, 30% tickets?
30% tickets, 70% sponsorships.
Wow, okay.
What would you say?
Our physical events are 40% sponsorship, 60% ticket sales. That's our traditional physical model.
Traditional ones, yeah.
Yeah. A bit, obviously it varies product to product, right? Exhibitions is sponsorship, and free attendees, it's a completely different model. So with digital, I think, what are we seeing so far with World Summit and IH, which are booking for Q3? They're hybrid and online events, and we're not really seeing a shift in that. We're seeing the same as we've always seen, which is, yeah, as soon as we came out and announced our plans for Q3 of what we're planning to do with Intelligent Health, which is our next big product, that's traditionally for 4,500, 5,000 attendees in Switzerland, second week of September. We're now running it as a digital series and potentially hybrid event as well. And as soon as we announce to our community what they're doing, the ticket sales are coming in and people are booking that. So I haven't seen a change in that percentage shift.
Okay. And another question on the price was, what common or fair price point are there? What are common fair price points for remote events? We were talking about this already, but can you already see like some kind of price calibration in the market?
No.
No,
no, not really. I mean, the way that we do, I should talk about what we do. I mean, the way that we price our events from a delegate basis and selling ticket sales is on offers as opposed to free. So, you know, if somebody wants to buy 2 for 1s or 3 for 1s or whatever, our price points are preset. But if we don't get enough traction at a price point, then we know something's wrong. We need to tweak our products. It's almost like an MVP model, if you like. So we look at it, we say, okay, what do we need to do? This isn't, for whatever reason, getting traction at that price point, and then we change it. And we're not doing anything different with digital.
So you said that you like ran 30 events from the start of March up until now.
Yeah.
There is an interesting question here which says, do the number of attendees in or decrease during the number of virtual events? Did you like, did you see any trends during those 30 events, like regarding your attendees?
Well, most of those were short span, chunk size, content led, like kind of, I hate the word webinars, but I guess that's what they
Deep dive is a good one.
No, I mean, I think people will quite often make a decision very, very late on whether or not they're attending a webinar, and we'll see a spike in probably the 24 hours before of whether or not people choose they're going to come to it, and even in the 10 minutes before. So that's one thing I would say. With the IH Inspired event, which was the 2-day event that we ran online, we ran it on Hopin and Grip. And we could track very easily what the ebbs and flows were of people coming, and we consistently had our clinicians. So clinicians are very different. So clinicians book the time out of their diaries, and they know they're going to come, and they're happy to sit for 24 hours and watch content, you know, and that's what they did. So they stayed online consistently. But we found a lot of people are using, we've offered an on-demand service afterwards. So a lot of people are using that on-demand service to consume content, are using the live days to network. So they're watching some live content, but they're actually also going post-event. We offer a platform that gives them on demand. They can replay as much as they want over the next 30 days. It's CPD accredited, etc. So we are seeing quite a kind of consistent trend towards people going online post-event and getting more engagement, which is an opportunity as well, I think.
There are 2 more questions that we can actually combine quite good about the characteristics that an event needs. We talked about it a little bit on it already, but what characteristic does an event need to be able to monetize it? Or what do they need? What is needed to monetize it? What characteristics? And the other question was, what is most popular? What is the most popular part of your event among attendees and why. And I think you can combine it quite good, because the popular part, right, is the thing that you need, that you can actually put like a price tag on it. Or what would you say?
So so they're talking about digital events, right, or digital products as opposed to events. But yeah, I would say what makes it great, I mean, I can only talk from our experience, and from our experience it's the quality of the content that draws people in. So it's the speakers that we have, and then the quality of the interactions with the ecosystem and how we facilitate those, and that's what gives people value, and that comes down to tools at the end of the day. So the actual networking, I think that with the IH inspired event that we saw the most popular sessions actually were some really quite innovative things that we did. So we had a Cybershark stage, which was live and interactive, and people could join and participate. So things that are interactive seem to work really well, and that worked really well for sponsors as well.
Yeah.
People don't tend to like, and this is something that we're seeing as a trend, people don't tend to like video functions as a part of networking. So people are not necessarily using that, and we thought, okay, this is about being face to face, so therefore we're going to offer them video networking, and that's not going down well at all. People are just they're happy.
The written experience, the written chat function is much more.
Yeah. So they're happy to interact with each other, but not necessarily on video. So that's something we thought would be super popular, but actually it's really not. So I don't know if that answers that or not.
No, but maybe that's like a good point. That maybe remote events, you don't join to join via video. You join for the content, you join for the networking, but you don't. It's a benefit that you are not there in person. You can keep your sweatpants on. One other question, because we're in the Q&A, like last minutes. It seems that with so many events going remote, there will be a continued race to the bottom with regard to price. Also, people seem to get used to free events. How can remote events stand out to justify a paid ticket? Value of content. That's what we said. Anything else?
Yeah, so I think it's some of this might come down to pre-COVID stuff, as I said before, which is, oh sorry, is my dog joining in the background? Pre-COVID stuff, as I said before, which is some people, if they trust a brand and they know a brand, then they're going to be prepared to pay for it. So I think that a lot of free content is shit content. And we have to be honest about this. You know, there's a hell of a lot of stuff out there right now that is not necessarily anywhere near the level of quality that deserves to be paid for. So, and customers aren't stupid, right? They know that. So, so I think, yeah. So my thinking is that if you already have trust with your customers and they already trust you as a brand and they know you, then they're going to be prepared to pay a premium for that, as long as you manage to still continue to deliver it in a way that suits the current climate. And a lot of the crap that's out there will disappear, I think, or people just won't pay for it.
Which is your favorite platform, Sarah?
Last question. Not trying to interrupt here.
Do you know what? I don't know.
There's none, right? Not yet.
I'm a bit disenchanted with the platforms that are out there. I mean, we work with Grip, and we've worked with Grip for the last, since they started almost, and we think it's a brilliant product. So, and that's something that we use for our physical events, and we've used alongside digital stuff as well. Hopin we've used, and I think Hopin is a good platform. Just watch the terms and conditions that comes with Hopin, particularly around data and privacy and reuse of your data. I think that there's some really interesting new entrants coming in. So I think Twitch is interesting. So yeah, I think it depends on the purpose of what you're doing. But there is, for me right now, there's no one platform that ticks what we need. And if I could go back 6 months, I'd be building it right now with a team of developers.
Nice. So to wrap up, how to successfully monetize an event quickly. Well, you said you need the valuable content. It's all about the value of the content that pulls the people to the event, but the community in the end keeps the participants. And it's, for us, it's super relevant to break it down, to unbundle these goals that we want to achieve, and then we can put different price tags on it. And maybe in the future is a subscription where you'd rather consume like over a longer period. But I think we can learn a lot from these bundles with freemium, basic, premium, where you can kind of upgrade it. But content key, that's like something I want to point out again. And for the sponsors, as you said, you actually have a lot of benefits because you have a high visibility and it's less effort for them. So we can actually catch some new sponsors on remote topics, hopefully, and stick with the old ones. Yes, so far from my side, short wrap up. Vadim, do you want to wrap up?
Yes, I just have one last question. And as you probably could guess, I like my answers rather short. So Sarah, one more question. Are remote events here to stay?
Yes.
Perfect. You got one more sentence if you want to add something.
As digital products, not remote events. I think anything that tries to replicate a physical event online should be banned. And digital products which are digital first and created around customers' needs is here to stay.
Wonderful. And since they are here to stay, I use this because there are so many platforms out there. You just mentioned a few, and we want to help you guys to stay on top what is going on in the remote event platform jungle. And therefore we will start a second round of our demo session in cooperation with Startup Sesame next week, where we will have 8 different providers than last time who will pitch their product, and you guys can ask your question. So also to answer the last one, Kieran, maybe you join us next week and you'll find the best platform for hosting a virtual event with a large number of audience. And yeah, so it's going to be intense. It's going to be a lot of valuable information on that topic, and you shouldn't miss it. And yeah, from that side, I'm just going to say thank you, Sarah. It was so wonderful to have you join us today. Thank you for all your insights.
Thanks for inviting me. It's been so much fun.
I'd like to push your LinkedIn account to the chat. So in case you want to reach out to Sarah, I hope that's fine. And if you have some more questions, just reach out to her. I'm pretty sure she's up for some more.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to join the cause of building that platform, get in touch.
Perfect.
Yes, if you have the perfect platform, let me know.
Yeah, us as well, please. Yeah, we definitely like a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Thank you also to the participants. Great questions we had here. Unfortunately, we couldn't answer all of them, but feel free to reach out to Sarah, as she pointed out. And once again, also big thanks to Cologne Business, and Volksbank for supporting us in this thing here.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you, Sarah. Have a lovely evening. Say hi to the dog.
Yeah, definitely.
I can get the kids out of the barn now.
Yes. Take care.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining.
See ya.